All right. Uh, it's Sunday. It's Sunday. Sundays are cool. Um, I just woke up from a nap, so I'm still a little groggy here. Hopefully everything's all right with the audio. Still playing around with it. Mm. Okay. Well, how are we doing? It is okay. Yeah, I'm mostly ready to go. Don't have a whole lot planned here for tonight. Just figured we'd catch up on some stuff that I didn't get to throughout the week. Um, got a little bit of news here and then just some random stuff really. Also, it's Black History Month finally. I unironically love Black History Month. Not like truly. I do. I don't know. Something about it. It's just a fun time. Yeah, I don't know. It just gives me an excuse to be a nerd about Black history, and I love that. So, yeah, there's some things I want to do this month, and I might take some time to work on that throughout the stream. Maybe later we'll see what I get to today if I feel like it. But other than that, that's really all I got. So, I think we're ready to go. Let's just so they finally returned that 5-year-old and his father, which I imagine they're gonna be fucking annoying about this, just like they have been when they have been sort of forced to acquiesce on certain issues in the past. Like, I don't imagine this is going to be the end for them in this ordeal, unfortunately. But glad that they're back home, especially given just how people were sort of reporting on this kid's condition when he was in the ICE facility. So that's good. Um, yeah, let's just get into it. Be sure to hit that like button for me, and that's it. That's all I got. And subscribe if you're not subscribed.
In President Trump's immigration crackdown, a 5-year-old boy and his father are now back in Minneapolis after a judge ordered their release from a detention center in Texas. In this exclusive video from ABC News, we see Liam Coneo Ramos and his father on their flight from San Antonio to Minneapolis. Their detention sparked a national controversy. ABC's John Quiones has more live from Minneapolis. John, you were on that flight with Liam and his father. How did they seem to you?
It was quite an emotional ride. And this morning, you got to remember, 24 hours ago, this little 5-year-old boy and his father were being held in detention an hour south of San Antonio. And then
This is just incredibly cruel because on one hand, you're also just like you've taken this kid out of school, you've taken this kid away from his life, away from, everything happening. And you're fucking with his like education, you're fucking with his life, and it's just just to be cruel. It's literally just to be cruel. Stephen Miller, I hope you fucking just sleep on Legos for the rest of your goddamn life, you piece of shit. Like truly burn in hell. God damn. Like I don't know how you I don't know how you see this shit and are like, yeah, this is what I voted for. This is what I want. Like you have to be a cruel individual. I do think you have to have a level of cruelty in you that you have just embraced at this point because like a literal child, you know? Like, come on.
within hours, they're on this flight coming back home again, finally. The flight attendants were in tears. Other passengers were in tears. The pilots were crying. They brought him into the cockpit. The little boy, is the boy who didn't sleep at all during detention, we're told, or very little. On this flight, he didn't sleep a wink. He was happy. He had a little Pikachu stuffed animal with him and a backpack, and his father was with him, and it was very joyful. He's telling me that they can't wait to finally see his mother, Erica, here in Minneapolis, and his teenage brother, his big brother, can't wait to go back to class. He's in pre-K. So it was a very emotional ride this morning.
And John, you asked Liam's father, Adrian, about the day that they were detained. What did he say?
Yeah. He said that he had brought his little boy home from school, and that suddenly the ICE agents approached him. He stepped away a little bit, and they grabbed him. And his little boy was knocking on his mom's door, and then they grabbed the little boy too. I asked him, you've been accused by DHS of having abandoned your child. He said, no way. I never would have abandoned my son.
And that's the other thing that fucking gets me because I can't lie. I am a person who enjoys, uh reality and truth and honesty, and it's pretty fucking fucking insane that we just live in a world now where it's just the truth is bullshit. Like the truth, it doesn't matter. It's not real. It doesn't made it up. It's a joke. Doesn't exist. It's just whatever people say. It's just whatever people have decided on. And if they decided on the fact that he abandoned his child, then that's it. That's what you get. Like, what do we? I don't know how we operate in a world where we can't even agree on what reality is. Like, I don't know like what we do when there's such a clear divide in the sort of perceptions that people have. Like we're fucked. Like we're cooked. It's over.
He says there's no reason for us to be here, and then he's just now finally relieved, and who knows where this is headed after this. But they're going right now to see his wife, the little boy's mother, and he tells me, little Liam tells me he wants pizza and to see his classmates.
So on that, John.
He's a real one for that. I love pizza. All right. do have one more video.
In tonight's deep dive, we're taking a closer look at an immigration case that made national headlines. As we mentioned earlier in this newscast, ABC News was on board the plane with 5-year-old Liam Ramos and his father as they returned home to Minnesota. The two now free from the detention center in Texas where they were held. Our Ike Ajachi is on the ground in Minneapolis and spoke with the family's pastor. Ike?
Yeah, Andrew, Liam Ramos and Carlos Ramos are officially back here in Minneapolis.
Like, oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Look at this violent criminal. Look at this violent criminal that must be detained immediately. Like, wow. No, wow. That's a violent criminal, man. Like that. Like, what are we doing? You're not living in reality. You're not living in the real world if you're cheering this shit on. If you're like, yeah, no, that's great. Apprehend this kid. Take him in. You're not real. You're not a real person. You are less than human.
Ike?
Yeah, Andrew, Liam Ramos and Carlos Ramos are officially back here in Minneapolis. And that was really thanks to the help of DHH Church and Pastor Sergio. But in order to understand how that partnership got together, you really have to understand the work that the church has put in. You see, back in December, that church really started to notice the friction between federal agents and their church congregation community. Pastor Sergio and DHH Church decided to pivot. They essentially turned their church into a makeshift food pantry for the entire greater Minneapolis area, essentially stockpiling thousands of pounds of food, everything from rice.
All right. I think next up is
CNN anchor.
I didn't talk about this when it happened, but Don Lemon, they fucking arrested him, and they've now released him. But I think he has a pending upcoming court case now, court date. So, I mean, just 100% against the Constitution. What? Like, listen. I have my opinions on the Constitution, okay? I think it's, I think it's got its good points. I'm a little bit, hit or miss on some things, hit or miss on some things. It was written by a bunch of guys who did not think I was a full human being, so I'm a little bit biased in that regard. However, it's got its good points. It's got its things that I want to keep. Now, it's kind of crazy that really just what the First Amendment out the window, Second Amendment out the window, Fourth Amendment out the window. Why not do the third? Why don't we do the third as well? Come on, let's figure it out. Let's find some way to fuck up the fucking violate the Third Amendment while we're here. Okay, we might as well just go down the list, cause I could see it, honestly. I could see them finding a way to violate the Third Amendment. Why not? Why the fuck not, man? Yeah. Yeah. Again, I have my opinions on the Constitution. I think she's got her high points. Definitely things I want to keep, but I am a little bit like, yeah, there's definitely some things that I just, hey man, we could do with the change. We could do with a little tweaking. That's all I'm gonna say. Maybe just a little dip here and there. But that's not gonna happen. Um, do you think we'll ever see like changes to the Constitution again in our lifetime? No, right? No. Like we're done. It's not possible, I don't think, at this point. Like I don't think we could get enough states to ratify an amendment at this point. There's too much bullshit. There's too much bullshit. There's too many players involved. Too many entities pulling the strings. It's over.
Don Lemon and another journalist, Georgia Fort, were arrested on Friday on charges they violated federal law during a tense protest at a Minnesota church. A conservative federal judge, somebody who clerked for Antonin Scalia, already had rejected those warrants and wrote that there is no evidence that those two engaged in any criminal behavior or conspired to do so. Then an appeals court held up that decision. Why did you then bring this case to a grand jury after it already had been rejected by multiple judges?
So first of all, that appeals court, you're not right. The appeals court, a judge on the appeals court said that there was clearly probable cause. And there was absolutely probable cause that a crime had been committed. Okay, so it's true that they rejected the mandamus petition, but yes, by Mr. Lemon and others, it's public. And so, yes, you're right. A judge in that court had said there wasn't probable cause. But guess what? Our system doesn't allow judges to make that decision. They can make that decision to get an arrest warrant on a complaint, but only a grand jury can bring forth an indictment. And so that's what we did. We went to a grand jury, which, as you know, are 25 citizens from Minneapolis and around that decide whether there's probable cause. And that's who returned an indictment.
Mr. Blanchard, I want to go, actually, I went through the entire indictment, all 29 alleged overt acts of conspiracy. And there's a lot to ask you about, but I'm just going to pick a few here, okay? Starting with overt act number 20, which says, quote, defendant Lemon told his live stream audience about congregants leaving the church and about a young man who Lemon could see was frightened, scared, and crying. And Lemon observed that the congregants' reactions were understandable because the experience was traumatic and uncomfortable, which he said was the purpose. Overt Act 21 says, quote,
like, you can't, we're just, you're just arresting people for fucking reporting. Like, just, it's literally in the Constitution. There's no conversation to be had here. Like, there's just nothing to be said. They're just violating the Constitution, and they don't give a fuck about it. There's just no reason. He was there reporting. He was there as a journalist, doing his job. What more do you say? What more do you have to ask? Like, what is there to say? What is there to add to the conversation other than he was there doing his job as a journalist, which is protected under the First fucking Amendment? That's it. That's all. That's all, folks. Da 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 da.
As the operation continued, defendant Lemon acknowledged the nature of it by expressing surprise that the police hadn't yet arrived at the church and admitted knowing that the whole point of the operation was to disrupt. Why wouldn't a jury at trial see this as a journalist observing what is happening, which is protected by the First Amendment?
Well, you conveniently left out multiple allegations in that indictment about what else Mr. Lemon did, including surreptitiously avoiding saying where they were going, being part of the planning, being part of the decisions to make sure the police didn't know this was happening and federal law enforcement didn't know this is happening.
What? I don't think that's against the law. What law makes it illegal for you to keep shit from the police without having committed a like when you haven't already committed a crime or aren't like being questioned by the police or something? Like, yeah, there are laws where it's like you can't lie to the police or whatever. You're impeding an investigation, blah blah blah, whatever. But like, if you have not done anything, your plan is to do something possibly. And sure, there are laws where it's like, I don't know, conspiracy. Like, is that what you're charging them with? Because that feels very different than being like making sure the police didn't know this was happening. Like, okay, yeah, the police just didn't get the memo. Sorry. Like, I forgot to send the police a letter telling them I was planning to protest. I don't know. Is that a thing I'm supposed to do now? What are we What are you saying, sir? What the fuck? Okay. All right, man. Sure.
There are multiple allegations there, and guess what? He gets to have a lawyer and he gets to have a defense. And so
Yeah.
if he wants to go forward with the defense that, oh shucks, I was just a journalist, he can do that. But obviously, as the indictment lays out, and which you didn't read on the air,
Yeah,
there's a
well-
lot of things that Mr.
let's-
Lemon did that you would never do as a journalist.
Well,
you would
I-
never do that.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
This is not about me. This is about what happened, and this is about.
Okay, but like, never mind. I don't know what to say to this shit, dude. You're so full of shit. These people are so full of shit. Like, I don't even trust you. I don't even know what they're alleging that he did, but at this point, I don't fucking trust anyone from this administration to begin with. You could tell me the goddamn sky is blue on the clearest fucking day, and I would still have to look up and check for myself. Because I just don't know. I just don't know, man. You're probably trying to swindle me.
About kind of the rules of the road. I mean, there are
No,
many.
but
there are
journalistic
let me
standards
finish my
matter.
question. Let me finish my question, and then you have the floor. There are countless examples of when reporters are embedded with people with, DOD, where we are told not to tell anybody where we're going. There are numerous examples of when we get embargoed information that we can't report from your agency, for example, and that has happened on with presidents in both parties, and we withhold reporting it until you say it's time to report it. That's not unusual, and it's not unlike what happened with Don Lemon and Georgia Ford.
Well, listen, you are totally correct that happens every day, and it's happened for decades.
Like, are they alleging that... So they're alleging that they were involved because they discussed beforehand and thus had like prior knowledge that the protest was going to happen and where it was going to happen, so that they could be there to report on it, which is like she said, a totally normal thing for a reporter to do, for a journalist to do. That is a completely normal thing. Awesome. But because it's the protesters and they want to make a big show of this and and scare people. I mean, they want to scare people. They want to scare journalists. It's so... It's pretty textbook and pretty simple, I guess, but I mean, if they succeed, it'll be effective, I presume. But I don't necessarily think they're going to succeed. This feels like one of those things that even most judges and whatnot are gonna be like, you guys gotta let this one go. So I don't know. We'll see, but
But if you watch what Mr. Lemon did, okay, and I do not want to have a trial right here. It's not fair to him. But I will say that if you watch the publicly available live streaming that he engaged in, the comments that he made, I mean, that's what it matters, right? It matters, like, how do we balance the FACE Act? How do we balance freedom of religion, the right of people to worship on a Sunday morning? Okay, and the freedom of the press, and it's a balance that we have to engage in. I agree with you, but my point to you is that I promise you that neither you nor your colleagues can honestly, with a straight face, if you watch everything that he did in the day before with the planning and the day of with what happened when the comments he made while the kids were crying and screaming and racing away while the parents were.
What do the comments he made have to do with anything? You can't arrest him for the comments he made. like, what do you mean the comments he made? Like, okay, fine, you want to hit him with like conspiracy or something for planning with the protesters to like know when to be there so that he could report on it. All right, fine. That's ridiculous, but okay, sure, fuck it. But the comments he made while the kids were crying? What are you talking about? What are you like? Okay, no, that's yeah. All right, I don't know what the fuck this guy is referring to, but sure, dude. Sure, dude. Sure, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Sure, dude. Sure, dude.
Were looking for their children upstairs.
But he doesn't have a
while they were just trying to have a church service.
Okay. Bottom line question for you is:
And so,
was this really about?
Also, I don't give a fuck about protesters interrupting a church service. Sorry. I know people are all sensitive about like religious spaces and blah blah blah. I don't care. I really don't care. I really don't care. I really don't care. I don't think a protest is a traumatizing experience like these people are making it out to be. I I like they weren't being violent. They weren't doing anything aggressive towards the like the parishioners or anything like that. And again, I don't think a protest is a threatening, traumatizing experience. At least not this one. So I do think people are being a little bit dramatic. A little bit over the top here. I don't really care about the optics of it. I just don't care. I really don't.
What you just described, or was it about trying to make an example out of somebody who the president has sparred with?
I don't even know that the president's even ever thought of Don Lemon. I don't know whether that's true or not. But I will tell you, we're not making examples of people. The day after that happened, the Attorney General flew to Minneapolis. She was there for 3 days. What we saw, there is no scenario under which the American people are comfortable or think that that was right. I'm sorry. So no, this is not about
Blanche,
making an example. It's
I
about justice.
Move on. I want to move on.
All right, you guys.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm the American people, and I think it was fine. So, all right. Candace, god damn it. God damn it. What's been going on with Candace? So, we had all that shit with Erica and the videos that came out where Erica was very unbothered by Charlie's death, it seemed. And that was a big topic. That was a big thing people were talking about for a while. I wonder where we go from here. Where is the next step? Where is she going to take us? I've seen some things about like sponsors going around, like, so I don't know, like donors. I don't know if that had anything to do, if she's going to bring up that in this episode. Let me see. Hold on. We might be able TPUSA PR crisis. Oh yeah, also the reason those calls leaked anyways is because TPUSA fired a bunch of people and then they got, you know, they decided to leak shit to Candace, probably through her tip line, and there you have it. I mean, I don't know why you would think that wouldn't happen. If you work at Turning Point USA, you kind of had to know that something like that was going to happen, right? That it was going to get to the point where you fire people and something's going to get out. Anyways, I've talked about this. I think it's interesting that Erica is not playing the grieving widow necessarily in the best way. I don't know if her PR team just sucks or what it is, but it's not great. So there's that. A story of Turning Point USA. I don't know what the rest of it says. This is a long part though. Frank Turek. All right, we'll take a little look at this. I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing because it's Candace and I don't really know if I can sit through all of this. It's watching Candace, I feel like my brain cells are literally like frying, you know what I mean? Like she's overwhelming to the senses. And I'm just not quite sure I'm ready for sensory overload tonight. But we'll take a look at this and see what we got and yeah, that's it. I'm going to skip her intro because goddamn, I don't need to see the intro. I don't know what she's going to say, but also her intro is like haunting. Like it's like the old footage of her, it's kind of crazy. I'll give her that. She's got like an artistic touch to her. Definitely a vibe that Candace goes for. Playback speed. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. Do like 115 so that we're going through this a little bit faster. Candace is a bit of a fast talker, so I don't know if I can go any faster than that. It's like putting Ben Shapiro on like 1.3 speed. That's a nightmare, trust me. All right.
Paid to push their talking points like Paramount Tactical. They also have a crisis PR team. I was told that actually by Erica. They hired a crisis PR team because...
Okay, well, that's crazy. If they have a crisis PR team, they need a new one. They need a fucking new one because their crisis PR team sucks. People are out here. People think Erica killed her husband. How do you have a PR team and people still think that you killed your husband? Like, it's over. You gotta pack it up. You gotta go home. You gotta get out of the public sphere. You gotta get out of the public light. You cannot do this anymore. Erica Kirk, sit down, please. Like, let somebody else take the spotlight. It's over. It's done. You lost. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Hold on. Okay. All right. Anyway, crisis PR team. They hired a crisis PR team. It's not good. It's not looking good, though. That crisis PR team really needs to step up its game. I hope they don't, actually, because this is far more entertaining. But from if I were having hired this crisis PR team myself, I would be like, y'all suck. Please get better at your job because people still think I killed my husband or they think I was involved. Did they hire the PR team before or after she did the Barry Weiss town hall? Because if it was before, fire them. If it was after, then there's a chance. But they should have never let you do that town hall. At all. Ever. That should have been a no-go from the start. People think Israel was involved in your husband's death. They suspect that you might possibly be involved in your husband's death. So what do? You do a town hall with Barry Weiss, of all people, who is a out and proud Zionist, locked in, support for Israel. And she brought on some very awful people to ask you questions, like the father of the girl that was killed in D.C. last year. Like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? That's the kind of shit that conspiracy theorists love. They latch on to that shit with a fucking passion. You are just feeding them. You are feeding them. It's incredible.
Andrew had made all those mistakes. But I have to say, all of those people appear to be in struggle city at this moment. They are struggling to come up with a way to explain a way to explain the calls that we saw, the Zoom calls that we shared, the laughter, the smiling. They're wondering how exactly they can go about gaslighting the public into believing that all of that is perfectly normal 5.5 days after your husband was publicly executed in front of the world, which is why I want to shout out the Daily Mail. Okay, because no one has been working harder than the Daily Mail to invert reality. And I got to tell you, this was a difficult one for them. It was not easy, but they did their best with this article. Check out this headline. The definitive truth about Erica Kirk's tears, the leather pants, and her new fortune as Candace Owens drops, quote unquote, giggling phone call in wake of Charlie's death. Well, I said it's the definitive truth. Look no further. Nothing says I'm the truth. Quite like when a journalist comes out and says it, right? It could be nothing else. No way this is going to be a lie. So definitive, you don't have to look any further. Here's what the article says. This is amazing. This is funny. This will lighten your mood. Quote, the Daily Mail has spoken with several experts on grief and so-called grief policing about the recent obsession that many Americans have developed with Kirk's behavior as a new widow. Love that already. Love that we have a term, grief policing. I love that you can always rely on a new psychological phenomena to be spun out by the media. The problem is actually you guys for noticing. And then it says, and as her critics will likely be disappointed to learn, those experts say judgments about Kirk reveal less about her true state of mind, and much more about the broader national discomfort with death, especially the kind of violent, widely broadcast killing that took her husband down.
See, here's my issue, because I am a student of the Caitlin Doherty school, of the Ask a Mortician school. You know, I am a death positivity person. I encourage people in the West to sort of, at least, reevaluate their sort of practices on death, because a lot of our practices are informed by the funeral home industry and that kind of thing and the sort of financial exploitation of that. So highly recommend Ask a Mortician. Great channel. I've watched her for years. I have read her books, and she talks at length about this shit. So I do think that there is absolutely, even though it's from the fucking Daily Mail, I do think that there is obviously some truth to what is being said here. But there is also just some things that Erica has done that make her look weird. and it's not necessarily and I do think she was just in a position where she didn't really stand a chance. She was never going to be able to step into the position of CEO and not have it look like she wasn't grieving in the quote unquote proper way. And there are things that even with me, I'm like, I don't know about that one, Erica. um, for me, the weird things were things like that video that she posted like immediately after he had been killed. Like they had definitely like embalmed him at that point, and she was like touching his hand and stuff like that, and it was just like, for me, I was like, okay, I'm all for like, again, death positivity. There's nothing wrong with fucking there's nothing wrong with like having normal people touch the body or sort of do that kind of thing. People used to do that in their homes, like, you know, even just barely like us, like, I don't know, like a century and a half ago. You know, it hasn't been that long. Um, and so again, no problem with that necessarily. It was just weird that she recorded it and posted it. That was the weird part for me. Like, yeah, I think you're totally within your rights to have intimate moments with your sort of dead, like not like, you know, weird moments, but like just like, you know, private moments with your like private moments to grieve with like the body of your relative. Like that's or your loved one. Like that's completely normal. But recording it and then posting it for you know, like millions of people, that's the part where I'm like, why did she do that? So there's definitely things that she's done where I'm like, Erica, you maybe didn't need to do that part. So yeah, I'm not like pro Erica in that regard, but there is definitely a a level of Western sort of fear of death that we have in our culture that has definitely played a part here in this whole thing. But again, I am not necessarily the most well equipped to discuss this subject. Once again, highly suggest you check out Ask a Mortician if you haven't. One of my favorite YouTube channels, easily. Easily.
Quote, this is a quote from an expert, guys. It reflects our mourning avoidant, emotion phobic culture where people tend to make all sorts of quick, uninformed judgments about how people are supposed to grieve, says Dr. Alan Wolfelt, a Colorado-based death educator and grief counselor. Shout out to Dr. Alan, because this is a tough job. And he's saying a lot of words. He's doing what he's learned at school. Is just say a bunch of words, call people a bunch of names. He's like, this is supercalifragilisticexpialidociousness. Yeah. The ism, the abracalabrodocious abracadabra, abracadabra, dabda, doobity doobity dabda.
Bro. Shut the fuck up, Candace. This is what I mean. Listen. The biggest evidence for like, if you wanted to argue that Candace wasn't a fucking right winger, which is a crazy argument to make, but if you wanted to make it, I think your best evidence is that Candace is actually funny. Like she actually has like somewhat funny moments, you know? Like there are times where she says some shit and it's like it's like, you know what? You know what, Candace, you kind of got me there. You kind of got me there. I can't lie to you. You got to laugh out of me. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid fucking thing that she's doing here, but goddamn. Um I like stupid sounding words. I can't lie to you.
Ism is what everyone's suffering from. Anyways, it goes on in the article, the experts, so step aside, losers, the experts are here. The experts at the Daily Mail spoke to were quick to note that Kirk has been an easy target for people who don't share her or her late husband's staunch political or religious views. There is, they say, also an aspect of sexism at play. Another quote, another therapist. This guy says, widows are uniquely grief policed, their appearance, their tone, and behavior, said LA grief therapist Bidwell Smith. Okay, Bidwell. He says there's this cultural belief that a good widow should look really collapsed and devastated, but grief is not a performance and survival is not a moral failure. When grieving, people can hyperfunction, as Kirk has appeared to do. People throw a lot of negative judgment on that, thinking that they feel nothing, when internally, privately, they may be collapsing and not really show it, Bidwell Smith added. Dr. Wolf similarly suspects that Kirk's insistence on getting up and getting dressed and putting on makeup and fighting for something she believes in every day is a classic emotional survival tactic. And so first I want to say, that's amazing. When I actually thought about that, when they're like, the problem is you and you guys are sexist, is first and foremost, it was the women that came out first and said,
Right, because women can't be sexist. Candace, I know this concept is going to go over your head a little bit here, but women can be sexist against other women. Women can be misogynistic. I know that's a crazy thing for me to say to you, and you really might not get it, but it's true, Candace. So yeah, it doesn't matter if the women were the first ones to come out and criticize Erica Kirk for not grieving correctly or not, showing, or I think Erica's weird. Like, I do. I think a lot of the weird shit she's done has been like not related to her grieving process. um her entire performance on Barry Weiss's town hall, that was ridiculous and crazy. The whole thing was just a mess. Again, the one thing that relating to like her grieving process that I find weird is the video of like the whole touching of the hand thing at the beginning, because why did you record it and post it? Just have your private moment. That's fine. So I do have my criticisms of Erica, but I do think that, yeah, a lot of this is kind of wrapped up in a little bit of misogyny and people kind of expecting a certain grieving process. And I again, I don't necessarily want to make this comparison because I don't think it's the same scenario at all, really, but it is kind of similar. I don't know if I could actually find the actual case, but there was a case, I believe it was back in either the like 50s or 60s, in New York, and it was a woman whose children were killed, right? Like they were kidnapped from their apartment and killed. And in the sort of aftermath of the killing, the police suspected that the mother was involved and that she was possibly responsible for a bunch of different reasons, but a lot of it came from sexism. It was because she was, separated or divorced from her husband. They felt like she wasn't grieving properly. She was going out drinking and partying. And they were doing things like when they found her kids, they brought her to the site to sort of show her, and she fainted. And then they proceeded to call her jobs that she was working at and be like, "Hey, do you know who you have working at the job that you're working there? Like, do you know who you have employed there?" And then she would get fired. So it was just like a whole massive like harassment campaign led by the police, which is very different than what is happening to Erica. Erica, I'd argue, has it fairly light compared to that, but it does just remind me of that scenario, of that situation where it's like, um, yeah, there is definitely like I've seen this film before, you know. It's just different actors. It's playing out a little differently in a little bit of a different environment, but it's the same bullshit. Um and it's like it's and you could say even in both scenarios, like were there things that the women were doing that maybe were like, I don't know, little weird for some people, maybe, but like a lot of that comes from their own like personal views. Like a lot of the police were like Irish Catholic, so they were fairly conservative and didn't necessarily like her like the actions that she was doing, like the drinking or the partying. And so they kind of like transformed that into, we think she's guilty of murder. Of murdering her kids. And it's just kind of it's a bit of a crazy leap to make, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a little bit of a leap to make, and I can't help but say that I am just very much rooted in logic, unfortunately, and I can't play the game. I can't lean into it. I've tried to you know, to see it from every angle or whatever, but the best I got is, yes, there are a couple things Erica has done that are weird, but I do think a lot of the criticism of her grief is coming from a fairly specific place. Which is just, you know, we have a weird view of death and grief in the West, and it's definitely shaped this conversation along with a little bit of misogyny. So it's whatever. That's my take on it. But Erica is just a grifter. Like she is just a like a typical right-wing grifter. Like that's not like untrue. Like that's definitely the case. So she moves accordingly for that, but yeah.
I don't like this for some reason. I want to remind you of that. Secondly, I had to go backward in my own mind because I'm close to this situation, and I was like, maybe there is some objective sexism here. Let me think about that. And then I remembered another death that deeply impacted the entire world. Literally, I did not know this man, never met this man, and felt like I knew him, and I boohoo cried in my bed when Kobe Bryant died in the helicopter. I remember this day, like exactly where I was, crying hysterically because I was a
You know what? I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let this one go. I'm gonna let her have this one. I have my opinions on Kobe Bryant. I personally I don't know if this was one that united the world. I'm sure a lot of people were affected by this and, you know, had their sort of reactions to this, but I I think I was more sad for his daughter. Honestly, like that's a young, you know, like that's like a young like girl who is dying in a tragic way, like with her father. It's just very depressing. Like that's not that it's not depressing that he also died. This is a touchy subject. um yeah, this is an interesting one to bring up, Candace. I'm not sure this is what I would have gone with, but I'll let her cook. I'll see what she's got.
huge Lakers fan growing up, and I just always admired Kobe Bryant. This was before I was Catholic. He's Catholic. And I never for a single second do I remember the conversation being about his wife being inappropriate. In fact, there was a memorial. What didn't happen 11 days later, it happened a month later, and it was...
am I misremembering, or is she misremembering? Because I feel like there has definitely been some fairly misogynistic reactions to his wife, especially with the fucking, like, wasn't there a whole lawsuit? And people were kind of, I I've definitely seen some shit, Candace. I don't know, man. You got me questioning everything now, but I've definitely, I'm pretty sure I've seen some. Candace, are you gaslighting me?
There were no fireworks, there were no pyrotechnics, there were, she was aggrieved. And
like, yeah, this is not a very good comparison. It would be different. Like, yeah, she didn't have, oh my god. I don't want to get up here and start defending Erica Kirk. You're not going to make me do that. You're not going to make me do that on Sunday, the Lord's Day. I'm not doing that bullshit. You're not making me do that shit. I refuse. Fucking refuse. We're not doing that. I'm gonna let her, she can fucking have this one. I'm not defending Erica Kirk. I refuse. God damn it, Candace. Are you really gonna make me do this? Please don't.
I went back and I listened to this speech, and I had to stop watching it because I almost cried again. It was a eulogy. It was parts of Kobe that no one could know other than his wife, when she spoke about her daughter and what she would never get to experience because her daughter was now gone. She spoke about not being able to be at her wedding. I mean, I can't even talk about it because it was, again, you should challenge yourself to go watch that speech. You should go watch Vanessa's speech at the memorial, and see if you recognize some differences, because I realized that I was so traumatized by Charlie's, I actually wasn't being objective. And realizing these things early on that I think some of the public was recognizing right away. And something else that is interesting about Vanessa is she went through the anger period. Vanessa was suing everybody. She was suing people who released the photos. She was suing the helicopter company, even though the guy who ran the company was actually the one flying the plane. He died. I actually remember thinking, wow, like she scored.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure she got a lot of fucking backlash for that bullshit. Like, I'm not saying it was bullshit for her to sue. I think that she should definitely have sued, especially for, like, the leaking of the pictures and that shit. Like, I think she was definitely right to sue. But people, like, there were definitely, especially, like, men out here who were calling her, like, a gold digger and saying she was, like, trying to capitalize on the death of her family members and all kinds of shit. Which I do think was a product of, misogyny. Like, I don't think that's... So, like, she's trying to make the argument that Vanessa didn't have to deal with, Vanessa, she showed a different grieving process and people didn't have a negative reaction to it. But Candace is including the suing part in the grieving process, which people definitely had a negative reaction to. Some people did. I don't know necessarily how many people did. It seemed like a lot of men who just kind of don't like women and didn't like her and were just kind of, angry incels online for some reason taking up this battle. But there were definitely misogynistic reactions to her grieving process if we are including the suing of, various different people in the grieving process, Candace. So you're kind of disproving yourself here, but that's fine. Whatever.
Like, I personally thought this is not going to bring him back, but I understood that phase of anger. She was angry at the sheriff's.
Like, even Candace saying, I personally thought this is not going to bring her back. Yeah, you were not, like, this is not going to bring him back. Like, you were not the only one who had that sort of, like, take on it. And some people had an even, like, more negative take on it. Again, I think it's ridiculous because I do think that, I do think that specifically for some of those things, I don't know all the things she sued for. There may have been some things that were maybe don't make as much sense, but I do think that specifically for like the release of the pictures that showed the crash site and everything like that, I think that was very inappropriate and should not have happened. And I do think that she's probably fair to sue for that kind of shit, especially when it involves her daughter who's a minor. Like, I think that's the main point here. We're talking about a minor who also died here, which definitely changes like the dynamic and stuff. And when it comes to releasing certain things, and like it adds another level to it. So I do think that in that regard, she was right to probably make that decision to sue. But there were definitely people who were like having bad reactions to it. I'm just saying. So if she's trying to argue that they had like a similar grieving process that was like considered abnormal by the public, but people didn't react negatively to Vanessa's, I guess is what she's trying to say. But I don't really think that argument stands. I could be wrong on what she's trying to say. She may be trying to say something else, but it's kind of hard to figure out because it's Candace.
Apartment, like you knew what time it was. Like, talk about an investigation. She was doing that. Nobody was invited into her home, least of all the New York Times. And when she gave her first interview, just so you know, that wasn't until 4 months later in April. And they were not invited into her home. And it was because she was accepting on behalf of Kobe, him being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I just wanted to give you some compare and contrast because the sexism thing.
Like, again, I do think there were some things that Erica did that were weird. So going on, Barry Weiss doing the town hall, that shit, not a good decision. Bad move, a bit strange. Definitely feels like you're doing it for, the sort of money, the exposure, because you're stepping into the position of CEO, which is a whole other thing that you probably should maybe not be doing right now. Maybe you should take a little bit of time to yourself to grieve. Whatever. I don't know. But that's kind of the extent of my criticism.
Is completely ridiculous. And you could just completely sidestep that. And another thing that I wanted to point out as I was kind of examining that was I went back and I went, wow, this speech is so beautiful. And I'm learning so much about who Kobe was, because to me, he was a basketball player and he was a leader. And I love that he spoke different languages. And there were so many things I loved about Kobe. I just thought he was brilliant. But I didn't know him. And when she's giving all of these examples and the things that he would do around the house and who he was and who they were, by the end of that, felt like I knew Kobe behind the scenes. And then I sort of went back and I revisited and just read the transcript of Erica's speech. And I am actually, in retrospect, quite amazed by how much was really about Turning Point USA and what was going to happen going forward. And you don't actually, when you read the transcript, learn anything about Charlie other than Turning Point USA and what's going to happen going forward. Even in the first speech that she gave next to his chair, she talks about Turning Point USA and what we can do for the organization, right? As if comparing it, if Vanessa got up and said, here's what you can do for the Lakers organization today. Here is what the Lakers are going to do. Lakers 2.0. Here's the Lakers. This is what Kobe loved to play basketball. And here's what you can do for the sport of basketball. I think that is the reason.
Like, at worst, she's a bit of like a cold-hearted grifter, But I don't think she was involved in Charlie's death. Like, I think we're jumping the gun a little bit when we're like, she killed Charlie so she could take over Turning Point USA or something like that. Like, at worst, she's just a bit of a cold-hearted girl boss, Gatekeep, girl boss, gaslight. I always fuck it up. It's gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, I think. Yeah, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, That's it. What can I say? She's a bit of a girl boss. Can't keep a good girl boss down, Candace. Come on. What are you doing?
People were immediately off put because it wasn't a eulogy. It wasn't speaking about those parts and those pieces of him.
I think people were not originally off put. I think people originally vibed with it. I think there was when did the vibe kind of shift for Erica? I'm trying to think. Cuz I think it was I think for a lot of people it was when it was like the leather pants and JD Vance. Like I think that was when the vast majority of people finally kind of had a switch up on Erica. But before that, I think a lot of people were still in the she's a grieving widow and we're chill with her portion. It wasn't until the sort of public spectacle of the leather pants and the JD Vance hug and all that shit that people were like, what the fuck? And then they started getting into all the conspiracy theories. I'd argue that was when things really switched up. So Candace is kind of rewriting history here, being like people were weird about her from the start. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there were a lot of people who were wigged out on Erica from the beginning, but I don't recall that being the case. It seemed like a sort of vocal minority at that point.
Yeah. And yeah, watching it in retrospect was something different. And I'm going to let you listen to, again, this piece about Turning Point USA. What was this, 36 hours after Charlie was assassinated? Maybe it was 48 hours after he was assassinated. Take a listen.
My favorite too, but my husband's favorite word in the English language was earn. He would call all of you to be people of action who earn.
Like, she's just kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna skip ahead. I wanna know about the story of TPUSA infiltration and donor targeting. I'm more interested in this shit. I'm done with the Erica shit. I don't really care about Erica. I think the Erica shit is kind of eh. Yeah, she's been a little weird, but she's a grifter. She's stepping into the role of CEO, and she's trying to balance that with appearing as if she's grieving properly, and it's not working. It's just not working, and so yeah. Do I think Erica's probably grieving Charlie? Yeah, I think she's probably grieving Charlie. I think that it's just a weird. I think she's probably just a little awkward too. I think she's not she's not the most like personable person. She's not the most like charming, like down to earth, easy to talk to person. She definitely gives off putting on a performance quite a bit. So.
Business. And I'm telling you that because I now want to pivot into telling you, I think, kind of a scary story heading into the weekend. A little terrifying story, maybe because I'm a little biased here. Okay, Catholic, and this just disturbs me a little bit more. And I promise, I'm wearing this sweatshirt. I told the priest I would chill. We had somebody message us and say, you should be making these sweatshirts. And it's real. I do actually, like, I'm being always sincere when I say that. But this is a story that involves a priest, and I promise after this, I'm going to chill for the weekend because I think this story is so crazy. I need time to process it because, again, it involves Catholics, and we're up. Sorry, guys. It brings me no pleasure to report. So Catholics, if you're watching, take a listen. I got an email from a Catholic woman, back in October, and the email did not sit right with me spiritually. There was a lot going on, though. I was obviously in survival mode mentally. I flagged the email. I filed it away in this inbox that I need to address this later. It's important. And I then decided to revisit it and to
God, I would love to see Candace's computer. Like, I just want to see how her files are organized, bro. You know, like I want to go through her email just to see, like, how is that shit set up? God, that was. I'm so curious. Candace, please, please, just Candace, let me see it. I want to know so bad. Like, oh my god. I bet it's chaos. I bet it's fucking. No, I bet it's organized chaos. Like, it is chaotic, but it's probably the most organized shit you've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to bet it's got like, it's like alphabetical, numerized, dated, all that kind of shit. But it is just the most chaotic material you've ever seen. Like, it's the most batshit shit you could come across. uh I would have a field day, dude.
Bond to the woman and to process what it was that had initially disturbed me. Now I'm going to read you this email, and I am going to protect information of people today. I'm not going to be giving out any names because it doesn't actually change the story any. This person wrote, "Dear Candace, firstly, thank you and may God bless you and protect you for everything that you do. I pray for you every day, and I thank God for you bringing the light of truth and Christ to this world. I attended the memorial, and I..."
You know, Candace, I think you should start giving out names every now and again because, like, how am I supposed to trust you? What if like, you could have just made this shit up? You could have just made this shit up yourself. I don't know, man. I don't know. Throw me a name. Throw me a name. Let me know who made this shit. Let me know who told you this shit. Come on. Just the first name. It doesn't even have to be a full name. Like, just, it was Betty. Betty from accounting. Like, I don't know. Give me something. Go on, girl. Give us anything.
ended up sitting next to Father Blank. He was actually the priest that flew with Erica to Utah. He was with her when they called her that he did not make it.
Oh, we don't even get to know the father. Like, we don't even get to know like who the priest is. God, what do we get to know?
It prayed over him. She actually asked him to pray the rosary there at the hospital, and he said the homily at the private funeral the Friday before the memorial. Now, in hindsight, it is strange to me that he was just put in the crowd at the memorial, but then again, he may have wanted that. I was at the memorial having zero personal or prior involvement or engagement with Turning Point USA or anyone from there, and I ended up sitting next to Father Blank and then with Erica at Mass the next day. I truly believe it is complete divine intervention. I prayed at the time and each day after exactly this. God, I see and feel you are leading me. I know there is a purpose. I don't know what it is or where you are taking me, but I'm following with complete surrender and faith to your...
Bro, what? There's just like sometimes you find yourself sitting in the middle of some like religious psychosis and it's just oh, we're going there. Okay. All right. Got it. Mhm. 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 Good to know. Good to know. I would have been cool if you had told me beforehand so I could have prepared myself, but I get it now. All right. We're on that trip. We're on that train, brother. Oh God, I don't. Candace, okay, get to the point. Get to the point. Get to the point. Get to the point, Candace.
holy will. I'll try to best email this with the relevant details, and I think that it may help. I was watching your podcast.
God, where is that Candace Owens like trying to speak account because she just fucked that sentence up. Have y'all seen that account? Hold on. It is low key one of my favorite things right now. Let me bring it up. Let me show you. Let me put you on to something. Here we go. Okay. Candace Owens. I'm trying to read, right? It's just an account of Candace Owens like trying to fucking talk and not being able to.
that Lee Harvey Oswald did not stand on a
But
grassy
you admit it's your
knoll
opinion.
and assassinate a president. Yeah, well, I can prove common sense that Lee Harvey Oswald did not stand on a
But
grassy
you admit
knoll
it's your
and
opinion.
assassinate a president. Yeah, well,
Or like,
you guys, because it is going to be a long week. I have so many explosive revelations to share with you. Get comfortable, you guys, because it is
explosive revelations. Oh, this one's great.
a debacle, and he would ask us to just work through the philosophical question. I remember that whole debacle. This debacle with her earrings. The Hamptons debacle came up. The Brett Kavanaugh hearings and debacle.
God, look at her hair in this fucking shot, dude. Oh my god. Oh my god. Candace. 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 Oh my god.
Debacle involved in this entire debacle. Okay, the FISA debacle. His recent non-vote on the FISA debacle, Kanye West debacle, Christ is King debacle, to Christ is King debacle. That's the Jeffrey Epstein debacle. And Jeffrey Epstein, this whole debacle could never
Debacle, bro. Debacle.
racist ideas, right? It wasn't because people were just trying to delegitimize him. It was because this must just all be crazy rantings. Every day, Candace is up on this show like Miss Cleo from the 90s and just like predicting what she thinks happened. It's such a ridiculous way to try to delegitimize the research that we have done. Of Turning Point USA to answer, okay? If you can't compartmentalize, then I don't see how you're going to be able to, we don't like them, we don't agree with the industries they went into. All of that can be true, but you have to be able to compartmentalize that when you are looking at a case. Since before, long before this ever broke out.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's enough. Oh man. I need her and I need Nick Shirley to sit down and have a deep conversation. I would love to see how that goes. That would just fry every brain cell in every fucking like facet of your brain, dude. There will be nothing left after that conversation is over.
As I'm finishing up work, and I had to pause it when you played Alex Clark's interview because it honestly made my stomach hurt how untruthful what they were saying was. And I felt strong conviction to write you. I've never emailed a person I don't know in my life, but I'm following this conviction. I spent a good 8 hours sitting with Father Blank. I'm shy generally.
You've never emailed a person you don't know in your life? What? How? Wait, what? Like you've never just like sent an email to somebody that you didn't like that you like I don't know, like someone gave you like an email and was like send some, or send your paper to this or whatever. You never had to do that. You never had like you never received a email from like a third party and had to send something somewhere. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading too much into it. I'm reading too much into this anonymous tip from some random Catholic person, some unnamed Catholic person who is possibly suffering from some kind of psychosis. Who knows?
And was sitting with empty seats around me in the third row from the stage. So when I saw the priest walking by and looking like he didn't know where he was going, I said, "Hi, Father, I'm also Catholic. If you need a seat, this one's empty." Whether he wanted to or not, he sat down. He seemed...
Is that normal? "Hi, Father, I'm also Catholic." Do Catholics greet each other like that? I don't think I know Catholics. I do know some Catholics. My grandmother is Catholic. I don't think I've ever seen her be like, "Hey, I'm also Catholic. What's up?" What the fuck? Is that normal? Am I out of the loop? I haven't been to church in a while. I'll be honest. It's been a while.
Like a holy priest, soft spoken, but so sincere and genuine. He prayed in silence throughout and would smile and say, Charlie wouldn't believe this, looking around the stadium. It was like he was going through a roller coaster of emotions right there. He shared stories of Charlie attending Mass and him spending a lot of time with Erica and Charlie. As Erica was talking on stage, Father held his hands towards her and was praying over her for protection and strength, tears going down his face from his stories and messages from Charlie that he showed me. It seemed like he was probably the closest person in that room to Charlie and to Erica, yet he was sitting with me like any other guest. Like I said, in hindsight, it just feels so off still. At some point during one of our conversations, we spoke about the daily Mass at his parish because I wanted to go on Monday before I flew back to Chicago. He said, yes, at 8:30 a.m. there would be Mass. To be honest, I wasn't sure.
What if this was just some compulsive liar, who's never actually met Erica or Charlie and just decided to sit down and start telling you a story? And you just bought it. And now you're conveying that story to Candace Owens because you're like, yeah, Candace, it was weird. This guy was just sitting in the audience with me. Or, just, he could also just he could actually be connected to Erica and Charlie and just be sitting in the audience because he didn't want it to have anything to do with the actual event, he just wanted to attend. Like, there's different options here, but it's fine. We'll go with your fairly niche, hyper specific scenario that you've decided is the actual series of events here. That'll work.
If I was going to make it, but then I saw a text from him at 6:30 a.m. saying, hope to see you at Mass. I knew it was my sign to just make it work and go. There were about 6 people at the 8:30 a.m. Mass that Monday, the large church of blank. I sat in the first row and I felt God's presence so powerfully the entire Mass that I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. I didn't cry at the memorial.
Oh my God, dude. Like, I am not even like an anti-religious person, but hearing Candace talk and like read this shit makes me want to kill unalive myself. I don't know what the fuck am I allowed to say anymore. It makes me want to lose my goddamn mind. Kill myself in the video game, whatever have you. God fucking damn it, Candace. Can we pick up the pace? Can you get to the point of this story, Candace? Can you get to the point of this fucking email? Like, what is the goddamn actual point here, Candace?
But I wept quietly the entire Mass. Afterward, I stayed to pray a while longer. Lights were starting to turn off, and I looked back and I noticed a tall bodyguard in the back, along with Erica and a middle-aged woman that was sitting by her. At that moment, I went back to prayer and I said, God, if you'd like for her and I to connect or speak, please bring us together. If not, I will pray for her and I'll head out. I did not want to disrupt her, but also I had an intense knowledge of how much God's hand was present throughout the last 2 days. A minute or two later,
God, if you'd like me to connect with Erica Kirk, please. Like, are you kidding me? Like, just go talk to her. You're in a goddamn church. Go approach her. Go be like, hey, I'm also Catholic. Like, you did it to the priest. Go do it to her. Go do it to her. God damn. Is Erica Catholic? I don't even know anymore, dude. I guess. Sure. Why not? Because wasn't the whole thing that Charlie was becoming Catholic? Was Erica already Catholic? Is that lore I was unaware of? That could be lore I did not know. That's possible. Because there was, like, the controversy that Charlie was becoming Catholic. And people were like, no, that's not true. So was this like a mixed marriage, Was he not Catholic and then she was Catholic? I don't know.
as I was still in prayer, I had a tap on my shoulder by a woman. I believed it was an assistant. I can't remember what it is she does. She said, Would you like to join Erica? Candace, at that moment, I thought, okay, God, I hear you. I've never had so much peace while blindly surrendering to God's will.
Like, I don't believe this story. Like, I gotta be honest with you. I'm calling bullshit. I think you got baited, Candace. I think you got jebaited. Candace, come on. You gotta have a little bit more scrutiny for these things. You gotta hold these things to a little bit more of a test. You gotta be a little bit more critical of these tip line tips that you get, babe. Because this sounds a little bit too perfect, you know? Oh, she was sitting in church, she prayed for God to give her a sign, and next thing she knows, Erica's assistant is tapping on her shoulder and asking her to come sit with her. Like, is this a fucking Lifetime movie? What are we doing? You know what? If it's a Lifetime movie, then maybe Erica did do it. Maybe Erica did do it. That would be enough evidence right there. If we are living in a Lifetime movie, Erica is definitely the fucking killer, okay? She definitely had something to do with it. I'm on board now. Yep, I'm there. You guys got me.
Maybe I have, but I haven't ever seen it so clearly in action. I hugged Erica. I sat next to her in the last pew, and I just had the most beautiful conversation. She mentioned that Charlie went to Mass with her there, and that Father Don would open the church up for him there often when Charlie just wanted to pray and reflect without being disrupted, and that he was with her the entire time from Arizona to Utah, in the hospital, etc. I have so much I could share on all of the little miracles, but I just want to say that today I felt compelled to send this to you. And so I'm listening to my conviction and sending this, and I am hoping that the Holy Spirit and both of our guardian angels will direct this message as it is intended per God's will. I have to say, I felt more realness from Erica in my exchange with her in that church than from the memorial. I saw her at Mass again on Tuesday. I ended up staying an extra day because I had relics from St. Paul II that my mom wanted to give Erica flown there. I coordinated someone to fly it to me, and then I gave it to her. Okay. I am.
What the fuck do you mean you had relics from St. Paul II? Who the fuck are you? I don't listen. I'm not an expert on Catholicism. But in my experience, normal ass people don't have relics just sitting around that they can give to famous people who are also Catholic on a whim. Shouldn't that shit be in a museum or something, or in like a reliquary? Like underneath a church somewhere? Like in the crypts? Like what are we doing? Who are you people? What is this shit? Am I crazy? I feel like I'm going insane. Is that normal? Like I know people have like random shit sometimes from, you know, it's been passed down through their family, whatever, but you really got like relics from St. Paul sitting around your house? Like, is it on the fireplace next to the singing fucking fish? Like, what is it? Where do you keep that shit? What do you do you take it out? Do you show it to visitors? Like, okay.
Going to end it there. Now, why do you think that that email disturbed me and made me file it?
I have no idea, Candace. I honestly have no idea why you read that to me. I genuinely would fail this test. Like, I what? What the fuck? I'm so fucking confused by that email, dude. I got nothing. That shit was some good fan fiction. Maybe you got a career in writing. I don't know.
Just check in the chat here. What is not right with that email? And I'll tell you, it wasn't the person who wrote it that disturbed me. I blanked out over a name because I'm going to tell you now that the person who tapped on her shoulder, who she thought was an assistant, was Stacey Sheridan. That was what disturbed me about the email and made me file it right away, because I knew exactly what happened and I did not have the heart to tell her what had happened, because I know who Stacey Sheridan is. I know what I told Charlie about Stacey Sheridan. I've seen her work. I've been at events with her. I knew that Stacey...
I think I'm in over my head. Hold on. Like, I mean, I've heard that name before. I don't know anything about Stacey Sheridan. Like, this is a name I have heard in my lifetime. I guess she spoke at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. Ironically, the internet is not actually telling me anything about this person. That's sick. All right. Never mind. We don't need to know. Keep going, Candace. What did Stacey do? Stacey's sketchy, I guess. She warned Candace. No, Candace warned Charlie about Stacey. We all caught up? We all there? Okay, cool.
would have only done that if the girl who was writing me this email had a boatload of money. Didn't even need to look up this person or the email. I knew that they had that girl clocked before.
I mean, that would make sense as to why they have fucking relics just sitting around their goddamn home. If they're fucking loaded, that would explain that at least, I guess. Because I don't know. Unless that shit's been passed down through your fucking family and you've just been keeping that in the attic for, the last, 5 generations, you gotta be loaded, right? Like, you gotta be rich to have that shit on you. I think you gotta have some sort of connection or something. Because doesn't I feel like the church is usually pretty active about getting that shit, Yeah.
Before she walked into the memorial. I don't think actually it was God that sat her where she was sat, 3 rows in. She was amazed by all of this. Oh, I don't even know anybody here. Here I am. I don't even know Charlie. I don't even know Turning Point was saying. Here I am sitting at the front. And oh my gosh, this moment. And Erica won't even speak to this after Turning Point USA, but Stacey Sheridan, would you like access to the grieving widow? I knew, and I filed it. I knew something was wrong. And then when I went to go revisit all these things I had filed and I saw this, I went, oh my gosh, this makes me so sick. And I knew that I had to reach out to this person and I had to say it. Hey, don't know anything about you, but I'm going to assume you have a lot of money, and it breaks my heart to tell you this, but you were targeted. They would have known everything about you. That's how they work. Before everyone is seated, Stacey Sheridan's job literally is to know everything about that person, their net worth. She'll know your dad's net worth, your mom's net worth. She'll tell Charlie, she'll whisper in Charlie's ear, that person runs so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And then Charlie will go have the conversation. That was the whole reason they brought her on. That's what Stacey's brilliant at. Smelling money, truly. And so I had a conversation. And I said, and actually, when we finally broke this conversation, she had already arrived at that conclusion. So that was back in October. She sent the email. And so my message to her, she said, yeah, I kind of figured this all out now. And I said, you got a lot of money? Yeah, got a lot of money. How much money are we talking? Dad sold a huge business. She runs a massive business. They are wealthy, extraordinarily wealthy. And I said, now let's go through how this all really happened, because you were targeted. And I'd like to know how you ended up at the memorial. And so she tells me a story of how that all happened. And I'm going to walk you through it, because I think it is one of the more disgusting and disturbing things that I've heard throughout the story. Maybe I'm taking it more personally because I am Catholic, and I'm happy to be biased in that way, but I think you will tend to agree with me here. So just so there's no confusion, she was obviously telling the truth. She even supplied evidence in the form of a text message that the priest that she was sitting next to had shared with her. This is Charlie's text message. He's on a group chat with Erica and the priest. And this is the morning of September 9th. Now, Erica has been telling the truth when she says that Charlie would send messages and have biblical verses. I have tons with Charlie. They were typically relevant to whatever we were going through, a verse of encouragement to keep going, to keep fighting. And here's the message.
Thank God me and my friends don't text like that, dude. I would actually lose my mind if I was getting Bible verses from my friends on a regular basis. Like, hey, yo, I love you, dude. You're great. You're my bestie, but shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't need you fucking sending me Bible verses on a regular basis, okay? I'm not even like an anti-religious person, but there is something about like regularly receiving Bible verses or just having someone send me a Bible verse. It's like, I know you did that shit out of the kindness of your own heart, but to me this feels like an attack. Like like to me it feels like feels like an act of aggression. I don't know why. There's very few scenarios you can send me a Bible verse in where it will not be taken as a direct threat to my life or something like that, because I just will be like, all right, man, thanks, I guess. That's cool. I'm watching you very closely from now on. I'm kidding, but like I don't know. There is something that just my energy does get thrown off when I get a Bible verse like that. Just people sending me some shit, because I do have religious family members who older family members who will send a Bible verse every now and again, and it's like, you're doing that shit out of the kindness of your own heart. I know it's coming from a place of love. I know it's coming from a place of I'm your family, you love me, you care about me. But this did just upset my spirit a little bit, like getting this message did just kind of make me go, oh, okay, thank you. Gonna just put this way over here now. That's great. Awesome. Love it.
That he chose to share. Again, group chat between him and Erica, September 9th. It is 1 Corinthians, Paul's letter to the Corinthians.
Like, are you kidding me? 1 Corinthians 6:9. For a wide door for effective work has opened to me, and there are many adversaries. Okay. Like, I don't know, just send me a poem. Send me a poem. You know what? It's Black History Month. Send me some Langston Hughes. Yeah, let's do something fun. Like, let's do something interesting. Like, why do we got to do Bible verses? Can we do something else, please?
Corinthians 16:9, and it reads, "For a wide door for effective work has opened to me, and there are many adversaries." Just find that message in general to be interesting, because it is him acknowledging that his opportunities have bred him enemies. Who are the adversaries? I find that to be interesting. That message was shared. Anyway, so I said, how did you actually arrive? Because people were waiting in the rain for tickets, and so there had to be a little bit inside baseball here. And then she said, oh, well, actually, I was at a different event, a marketing event, when Charlie was shot, and was networking with some people that were involved. It was a conference event with some people that were orbiting around, like PBD's podcast. That part's not exactly that relevant to the story, because they're marketing people, they're kind of doing their job, and that person then hooked her up directly.
Not a PBD mention. What the fuck? How did we get there? This is all a mess, dude. Oh man, I love it. I love it because it's so fucking ridiculous. It's nonsense. But unfortunately, there is like kind of like real consequences happening here. Like, there's real shit that like people are being taken advantage of so much. Like, Candace gets so much money from people through these episodes, man. And it's just like, oh, she's captured so many people. She has gotten so many people on board with her bullshit. And I just enough to give her money on like a regular basis. It's crazy. it's crazy. It says something. It says something about us as a society, as people, and I'm dying to figure out what that is.
With somebody that they said could help get her into the venue. She was so struck emotionally, stricken by the Charlie's assassination, like all of us were, that she just wanted to be a part of the memorial. And then just her luck, somebody said, oh yeah, I can get you in touch with someone that can get you through the door. And that's going to be great. And so I also just want to show you this because in retrospect, she reads it and she realizes that she was being manipulated, right? This is the message. Perfect. I'm going to introduce you via text to TPUSA's Blank, who traveled everywhere with Charlie, handling many of their big donors. Blank says that Erica has been getting more death threats every day. He's promised Erica that he will run point on raising money to cover the memorial service, which is going to cost approximately $6 million. Apparently, Trump had to get personally involved to secure the Cardinal Stadium, which was planning to host a large and lucrative RV show this weekend. So making up that lost revenue to the stadium is driving the high costs of this event. It's crazy what their team is going through. Right there, already emotional manipulation, right? This idea, you have to rescue Erica. She's not safe. And oh, by the way, it's going to be so expensive, this thing. She doesn't even see, she just thinks, oh my God, amazing. I can't believe this. And doesn't realize that this is like, we'll get you in, but we're expecting you to kind of write a check. And by the way, I do want to address that lucrative RV show this weekend. I went back on Wayback Machine, saved screenshots. There was no RV show that was on the calendar for this Cardinal Stadium. Has anybody been able to find this? We've been told the story a couple of times now that the White House got involved and secured the venue, and people started asking questions about how this was possible to turn around so quickly because there are, tons of policies and booking these sorts of venues. They don't do things last minute. This RV show, if you know something about it, you were supposed to attend and had tickets and got an email and said, hey, never mind, it's off, please email moretips@CandaceOwens.com. I need to know more about this little RV show. Anyway, this idea that was going to cost them $6 million to make off the revenue. Obviously, we know they made a ton of money. They geofenced everybody's phones. I can't even imagine what just selling the data on that would have been worth. But interesting, this is how it gets started, okay? So then she's sitting in the third row, and she's now next to the priest, and I asked, what about the next, let's go more specifically about how you got to church the next morning. Because that's interesting, right? Like you struck up a conversation, you said that you struck up a conversation, whatever, and that the priest said, yeah, come to mass. Well, the part that she forgot is that he told her in this text, Erica might be there. Good morning. I hope to see you at 8:30 a.m. Erica may be there too. Okay. That's an interesting text from a priest. Now, she believes that this is a good guy, and that's great. And I hope deeply in my heart that that is true. But I am beginning to ask questions about that.
It's kind of crazy how people just regularly share their text messages with Candace. It's kind of incredible. I'll give her that. You know what? I'll give her that. Candace has an incredible ability to get people to trust her with things that I would not necessarily trust her with. So, yeah, that's crazy. Why are you sending Candace your messages, Oh my God, dude. Yeah, I mean it's weird, I guess, but it's not like I don't know what the point of the story is. Like, is there a connection back to Charlie Kirk's? She is making a slight connection back to Charlie Kirk's assassination because she's implying that the Bible verse he sent shows that he knew he had adversaries. That was her main point in all of this. I have to remember Candace buries the point quite a bit. But that was the main connection that she made back to the Charlie Kirk assassination. This message was sent on the 9th, the day before Charlie was assassinated, I guess. And in that message, he sent a Bible verse. And that Bible verse implies that Charlie knew he had adversaries. I don't know why we need the rest of this story other than to just fill time and fill space. So, I'm gonna let her cook a little bit longer, but then I'm probably gonna move on because I think we got the main point of this, which was the adversaries part. Like, that's the only connection, I think. I don't think there's going to be another connection back to the actual assassination. So this is kind of all pointless bullshit from Candace. But it's pretty much expected at this point. She's milking this thing for all it's worth. Like, she could not be milking this harder.
Because there's a lot there that's happening. If I am correct, he also canceled his mass on September 10th. Give me just a second because I hear my phone is on. That he canceled his mass on September 10th on that morning. I'd like to know more. I genuinely would like to know more. And I don't understand if a priest is just trying to get you through the door on a Monday morning to go to mass, why you would say, Erica might be here. And also, why is it a might? You would know. You more than anyone would know. You've been with her every second of every day. Throughout all of this, you know whether or not she's going to be there. You, her, and Stacey have been rolling pretty deep. So I feel like you knew she was going to be there. That's my opinion. I genuinely hope I'm wrong, and I'm open to be wrong, but I have to tell you how I feel about this. Anyway, she was amazed by this, and she went, and then you know what happens next? She gets a little tap from Stacey Sheridan, who...
What are the comments saying? Erica sending legal letters to anyone questioning the narrative but not suing the security, the school, or anyone else is absolutely wild. Hey Candace, I'll bet that 95% of Turning Point employees watch your show every day. Calling her husband's murder God's plan, and I feel so blessed, and we pulled off the event of a century is absolutely not grief. Okay, God's plan is just a normal fucking Christian thing to say. Come on now. Are we, like, I'm not even Christian, but like, it's God's plan. Like, it was God's plan. Like, that's a normal fucking thing that Christians say whenever a bad thing happens. Like, what do you mean? That is like the thing that they say when a bad thing happens. It was God's way. It was God's plan. You know, like, oh, God felt it was time for him to come home. I've heard this shit. I've been there. I've been through it. I've been around Christians when they're grieving. I know what they say. Who are we fucking kidding at this point? Come on. Step aside, losers. The experts are here. Should be on the next mug. Stalking wealthy potential donors after tragically losing your spouse is diabolical. I have a feeling a lot of ex-employees are going to start dropping truth bombs. 99 replies. Wow. Even Brigitte Macron is clutching. Okay. God, dude, this is so stupid. Not a single person questioned Vanessa's grief. It's like we all innately know what's real and what isn't. This is a dangerous way to think. You clearly can't trust what innately think because you are wrong. These people also can't fucking type. Oh my god. The saddest thing is thinking Charlie figured out what he was. The saddest thing is thinking Charlie figured out what he was surrounded by at the end and knew how betrayed he was. Candace's eulogy video for Charlie was much more touching than Erica's. Daddy's in heaven with Jesus working on your blueberry budget. Let that sink in. What the fuck? Stacey Sheridan, who should burst into flames when she walks into a church. Would love to know what Charlie's parents think about his widow. Charlie's parents seem to escape scrutiny quite a bit, you know? And I do wonder what that's about. Charlie Kirk was in love. Erica Kirk was in business. They probably can't without risking of never seeing their grandchildren again. Oh, is that the narrative, that they can't speak out against Erica because they'll never get to see their grandchildren again? Is that the narrative that they've come up with for the reasoning why the parents are not going against Erica? Because, you know, if Erica was such a problem, if Erica was such a issue, they would be speaking out against her, I imagine, at this point. But they can't, because then they'd never get to see their grandchildren again. Got it. Okay. No. Okay, I got it. I understand what we're working with here. Okay. They should make an DNA test, because probably they are not Charlie's kids. Oh, okay. No, we're also just saying it's not Charlie's kids. Okay. DNA really doesn't matter. If Charlie cared for them, they are his kids. Oh my god. That's just it. They already tragically lost their son. I don't want them to lose them too. These people are really saying that they think that it's not they think that they aren't Charlie's kids, but they don't want Charlie's parents to lose their grandkids as well, so they don't think that there should be a test done. Oh man, the mental pretzel making is incredible. You gotta twist yourself into knots to make sense of this shit. Oh my god. If testing is done, they're not Charlie's, they lose them. If DNA proves they are indeed his children, they'd still lose them regardless. Erica would definitely cut them out completely for the DNA testing itself, no doubt. Honestly, I'm not saying she should, but she should honestly be fairly offended if they do that, especially since there's no real evidence to suggest that she's cheated on Charlie. Unless there's something that we don't know. But yeah, it would be a scenario like when a husband gets a little bit too paranoid, which happens more than you would think apparently, and they get a little paranoid and they're like, I need a DNA test. That shit happens. It would be like that. It would be like them getting a little bit paranoid and being like, we need a DNA test. And I think that's Erica would probably be, fairly within her rights to be offended by that, I'd argue. I want to know how this ends. This is going to be dark to light of biblical proportions like we've never seen before when it's all said and done, and not just Erica Kirk. Of course, my opinion, God willing anyway, they cannot assassinate them all. I really do hope post-trial there's that gag order too. They come out and at least address a lot. Or even if his sister came out, I'm curious on her perspective too. I feel terrible for all those who truly loved him, including his parents, his sister, his babies he raised. Blood or not, doesn't matter. I have 3 children who are not blood myself on top of my 3 biological children. Blood truly means nothing. And of course, Candace, clearly his only real friend, publicly anyway. They look just like him. They're his kids. How do you know? They always hide the faces, so the real parents don't recognize them in Romania. Oh my god, dude. Now we're saying that they're fucking... Oh my god. You've seen their faces? What do you mean by this comment? I've seen the same remarks across the internet, but I don't understand. Are you saying Charlie was complicit in the lie of having kids, or are you saying Erica had babies with other men outside of her marriage? Anything and everything is up for criticism, and when it comes to adults, Erica decided to put herself in a position of CEO of Turning Point for it to be acceptable for people to question and even criticize her. What is a never okay to criticize is children. You should not post things 2 children may someday, when they are adolescents or teens, read online that may hurt them. Imagine his children, who are two people who, no matter what, are above reproach in every way, someday reading where you commented on a video pertaining to their dad's brutal public assassination / murder that they may not be biologically his. This just seems so cruel, since they are the only two people in this world, in this whole thing, that we know for sure are innocent in all of this and are victims. Ooh boy. Has anyone ever seen her pregnant? I can't find any pics. Really, please share pics of their faces, because I've never seen anything but the backs of their heads. Get real. It does matter, actually. Oh my god. She said she wasn't on the Egyptian plains because she was pregnant and remained unseen during pregnancy because she was growing human beings. Not at all sus, right? I mean, if I were a wealthy person and was pregnant, I think I would too withdraw from society in general. Yeah, if I had the option, the ability to do so, 100%. Being pregnant is a crazy ordeal, and I am someone who does not like engaging with people. So, I'm like already. So, I too would also withdraw from society if I was pregnant. I can't judge her too hard there. That one seems entirely normal to me. Like, if I had the money, which Erica definitely did, yeah, 100%. I'm out of there. You're not seeing me for 9 months. I'm sorry. When I come back, I will have a small baby me with me. But that's it. I'll have a small version of myself and my partner, and I'll show it off to you. I'll be like, look at this small human I created. But, you know, you're not going to see me for 9 months. No, they aren't. Completely agree with everything you said, and the White House thing was huge. My heart breaks for his mother, all those who truly loved him, but seeing his mother almost unable to stand makes me start to cry just thinking about that. The strength his true family had in that moment. No words. My heart is with them. My heart breaks. Oh, I just started reading that over again. I'm so silly today. You've seen them? Are they as tall as those pictures from the alibi? I've thought this too. How could Erica be so nonchalant? Nonchalant? I don't think that's how you spell that at all. Nonchalant? It's not, it's nonchalant. How do you spell that? It's not like that. Hold on, give me a second. It's non. Yeah, it's. Oh my god! Wow, that's an incredible spelling of that. Like, you just threw my brain off so hard with that spelling that I had to actually look it up. I don't know if you can if you can see where this person has spelled this. But it's the last comment here. It's this purple one. It says Truth Seeker. And I've thought this too. How could Erica be so CHANLANTE? Nonchalant. Nonchalante. Oh my god. I love it. One of my favorite things is people mispronouncing words and people misspelling words. It is truly something that just tickles my funny bone to its core. It makes me giggle so hard. This is one of my favorite ones I've seen in a while. Nonchalant. Oh, wow. Oh, that's incredible. I love that. That's awesome. That's so cool. All right. I've thought I've thought this too. How could Erica be so nonchalant? I'm so sorry. Nonchalant about the impact of his death on them otherwise. I've hardly heard her mention them. Oh wait, she did say that being a single parent was the least thing that she's worried about. That's a crazy thing to say. I really don't think that was like the craziest thing to say. Um like again, maybe I'm just the Erica Kirk whisperer or something, but it made sense to me. It just seemed like she was saying like she's not necessarily worried about her capacity to be a single mother. Like she has support, she has people around her, she has a community, you know, she has a village, so to speak, and she has money. Like she's not like the typical person who's becoming a single mother. She has a job that is, you know, right there for her. I mean, assuming she can make Turning Point USA succeed. Like she has a team with her. She has access to a lot of money, a lot of resources. Like she the worrisome part is that now Charlie is gone, right? Like the worrisome part is their father is no longer there, and that is of course a big thing, but I don't think that necessarily is the same as her being worried about being a single mother. Like that made sense to me that she wouldn't necessarily be concerned about becoming a single mother because she doesn't necessarily have to worry about the things that single mothers usually have to worry about, like childcare or paying for childcare or, you know, like having someone to take care of your kids when you're working or um having food and money to provide for your kids. Like she doesn't have to worry about that like nearly as much as the average single mother does. Oh my god. Erica will make sure that they lose them anyways. We can feel this is happening already. I hope they are his children now, so at Charlie's parents may have experienced some salvation before it's their time. What? I was just saying, I hope they placate and manipulate her and say nothing to protect those babies. These people really think Erica Kirk is like the devil. It's kind of crazy. Like, they actually think she is like a she demon. Like, they think she is a succubus that seduced Charlie and sucked the life right out of him. Oh my god. Speaking of their grandchildren, who the heck is taking care of them? Because it sure isn't Erica. The damn nerve of her to say Charlie's dancing in heaven, shaking my damn head. I imagine Erica is able to pay for, you know, people to take care of her children for her. I hope they fight for custody. Yeah, I'm sure they'll get right on that. They have the kids. CPS took the kids after the nanny called them on Erica. Oh, is this the new gossip? Is this the new Erica Kirk theory? Is that she doesn't have the kids anymore because of CPS being called? Because I think that would be a pretty big story. I think that would be a much bigger story. Um, like the media would definitely be on that one. So I don't think that's happened. Proof or just wild gossip? What? Gossip, but people will believe anything they read on the internet, lol. I've heard this too. For the sake of physical and mental safety for the kids. Cap. What happened? What? Anna Paulina Luna went on the PBD podcast a month after Charlie was murdered and said Erica lost her kids. She misspoke. If that were true, it would be the biggest news out there, and it isn't. Yeah, again, that would be pretty big news. This true? No. And who has the power to take kids from parents without the parent being committed or arrested? I think CPS definitely has that power. Like, I don't think you have to be committed or arrested for CPS to take your kid. I could be wrong. I also imagine it varies by state. Like, I imagine that's probably not a universal thing across the 50 states. There's probably some variation in there. But yeah, I don't know about that. Is that confirmed? I have heard so many things. Yeah, there's a lot. Well, Grok says it, and Snopes cannot confirm or deny. Oh my god. Grok says it? I love how this person uses both Grok and Snopes. Because usually, someone who's like asking Grok a question is probably someone who thinks Snopes is like woke garbage, you know? And like someone who uses Snopes is probably pretty libbed up, and I would imagine is not really interested in using Grok, but that's just my analysis of the breakdown of the users of Grok and Snopes for fact checking. That's crazy. Anna Paulina Luna said it on the PBD podcast, but then later retracted it. The Hindustan Times denies it, though. You be the judge. CPS can take kids from any circumstances deemed unfit or neglectful. No charges needed. Yeah. Pretty sure they have to prove it still. What a load of nonsense. They ain't taking rich people's kids. Well, that's just that's probably like the most like accurate thing anybody in this fucking thread has said so far. like they are probably not taking Erica's fucking kids because it's just, like her kids are not being neglected in any significant way. These people, I don't think they understand what it requires for CPS to step in and take children out of a situation. Like you have to be talking like significant neglect and shit. This can't because they won't see their grandchildren. BS seems to be repeated narrative that everyone should question. I call BS to this statement and to everyone that repeats it over and over and over. Then you have no idea what happens when people get divorced or one spouse dies. It's tragic how often the immediate family loses access to the children. I agree. Chances are they likely didn't see much of the grandkids nor Charlie. Nice assumptions, but you are wrong. Unfortunately, I know it all too well. I also know what string people act like. What? Oh my god. Alright. Let's be real, they have to hate her. I know I would. I seen a video of a clip of them as memorial for Charlie. They seem to be incensed to Erica about something. Okay. Erica received death threats, but a random stranger is invited next to her to sit. I mean, it did say she had, like, a guard with her or whatever. OMG, Erica's whole eulogy was an advertisement. The video of Erica is giving like and subscribe vibes. I'm a woman and I immediately saw Erica after Charlie Kirk's murder and I knew she was putting on an act. Okay. Alright. Totally normal people in these comments, y'all. Let's go. What time is it? Because I did have this video. I am done with Candace for now. Like, I'm done with that. There was this Brett Cooper video, and I was curious to see what she was saying about the PR war on deportation.
Online outrage.
It got 157K views. But I am actually mostly interested in some of these comments still. Women who bring their children to these protests should be charged with child endangerment. I love how it's just women. Everything is performative now. Nothing is real. This is what that's another thing. I have said it before, but I do think Brett Cooper's audience is mainly men. Like misogynistic men who kind of use Brett Cooper as like a we hate women, but Brett's all right, I guess. I don't know. What I have learned is 19 billion in fraud tied to the state government politicians has created a smokescreen. The same people who protest the right to kill an unborn child are the same ones bringing children to a protest. My babies are more important than anyone's because they're mine. This is how every mom should think. What the fuck? Oh no, women who hated Trump hate Trump. What will we do? If Vanilla Ice ever wanted to make a comeback, there has never been a better time. Okay, alright. I was gonna look at this, but I don't really know how much I feel like looking at this. I think it's probably gonna be a little cringy. It is Brett Cooper. I think that's it. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here for tonight because I am a little bit sleepy, and it's Sunday. I didn't have a whole lot to plan for tonight. Hopefully, maybe the next stream I do, I will have my computer back. So that's a dope thing. That's perhaps going to happen. And once I get my computer back, I can do some gaming and stuff too. So Sundays will probably also include some games going forward. A little bit of gaming time. But yeah, I will be working on a video for Black History Month on the specific subject that I like to cover, so that's probably what I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future. Occasional videos here and there on various different things maybe, but that is probably what I'm going to be up to, and I'd like to get it out before, the end of Black History Month, so I have to actually, work on it. So, that's that. But I will for sure be live Friday, probably before then at some point, especially if I get my computer back, but I don't know for sure yet. But yeah, that's all I have for today. So thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And I appreciate it. So take care of yourself. Have a good night. Have a good Sunday. It's now Monday, actually, if you're in the same time zone as me. But if you're not, have a good rest of your Sunday or Monday, whatever. I will see you when I am live again. And be sure to check out links down below. Follow me on Twitter, all the other shit. Do that cool shit. And give the video a like because you're cool. That's it. Alright. Thank you for watching.